whoa, hang on a minute, chill out. Now, I know that there's a lot of you out there who dream of making a movie or even attempt to make a movie, but it is quite another thing to get off your botties and actually pull it off. Well, the director of these films not only managed to pull it off successfully with little to no budget, but he did it when he was sickeningly just 19 years old. What's even more amazing is that the first of these films became one of the most controversial, pioneering, talked about and scary horror movies ever made. Evil Dead, originally called Book of the Dead, actually started life out as a short film shot on 8mm called Within the Woods. Now this was designed as a tasty little teaser trailer to show potential investors just what they were capable of.
We were always asking if we could see Within the Woods. Whenever I talked to Sam, I used to say, you know, are you ever going to show it anywhere? Is it going to be shown at any festivals or anything?
Yes, it was shown at one of the horror festivals at Scala. They set up a little projector. I mean, literally set up this tiny little projector and screened it, a tiny little patch on the big cinema screen. And obviously it was very, very dark as well. But I mean, people got to see it though, yeah.
Now, we really did sweat our bollocks off trying to get the prototype Within the Woods for your entertainment. However, due to unforeseen legal reasons, it's just not available for release. We do hope it's not because Sam's gone all embarrassed of his earlier and perhaps cruder work. Sam, we love you and you are God. Perhaps one day we'll get to see Within the Woods, but hey, what's more important is that little test film led to the birth of Evil Dead.
I fear that the only way to stop those possessed by the spirits of the book is through the act of bodily dismemberment.
We'd all heard this was something special, and sometimes these films don't deliver when you've actually heard that. But in this case, it really did deliver, and I thought it was everything that Stephen King said it was. I actually couldn't wait to write about it, and I actually interviewed Sam the very next day because I was so excited and I wanted to make sure that everyone in England would actually know how good the film was.
At the time, which would be 1983, I was reviewing a lot of videos, particularly horror videos, for magazines like Video Today and Video World. And because I was a bit of a specialist in this area, I think, I got a phone call from the guys at Palace Video who just bought the rights, and they were going to release this thing, and they said, look, we got this movie, it's called The Evil Dead. It's fantastic, it's gruesome, it's got zombies, it's got people being chopped up, etc. And it's, you know, we want you to have a look at it and do an early review for us. But we've only got one video copy in the country, so you can borrow it, but you can only borrow it for one night.
Listen to this.
I got some friends round and we stuck this thing on and we were just, wow, fantastic. You know, this is what horror films should be like.
I think it made a big impression at the time. People like Kim Newman, Mark Kermode, me, Alan Jones wrote about it. And I think, you know, when younger people see the film now, on the whole, then they're not disappointed.
I first saw Evil Dead, I think I must have been about 10 or 11 or something like that, because my older brother is a big horror fan as well, and of course he could get all the films out from the video shop. And when I was quite young, you know, they were still available, so I watched it when I was very young, and it did have a real effect on me. I was terrified.
It was like the film from the Video Nasty area that got banned, and Thatcher was going on about it and all that kind of shit. It was always Evil Dead that was in my mind. And I remember seeing the Sam Raimi interview on the Jonathan Ross programme. And it's mainly those clips from Evil Dead 1 of the Ace of Spades, Jack of Diamonds scene, and the, you know, the trapdoor fucking hammering and stuff. Those sort of stayed in my mind.
2 spades, Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs!
The first Evil Dead was so different to anything else that had come. And it especially affects our generation because of the age we were when we first saw it as teenagers. It was just, this is incredible.
When it came out, some people said, well, this is like the Night of the Living Dead for the 1980s. And I do think there's something in that. You know, when Evil Dead came out, we just simply weren't used, particularly in Britain, to that kind of level of splatter.
It's not just a zombie flick, it's a real hour and a half of genuine suspense and tension, which is really hard to find in a lot of films. You know, it's one thing to do gore, and gore is great fun, and I love getting covered in blood and shit like that. But there's just so many scenes in that film where you actually go, that is really fucking clever. This sort of garden swing is banging against the side of the hut, doof, doof, like this, and instantly you're on edge. There's some amazing things that he does with just directing and sound design and just camera work that are really, really unusual.
The film does actually have a very good, you know, strong atmosphere to it.
I mean, the word grungy hadn't actually been coined at that time, but if it had been, I would have used that word then for this, because it was just so razzle-dazzle, so in your face.
I think one of the other reasons why the film was popular, and perhaps with a section of the audience that wouldn't always be interested in horror movies, is that Sam Raimi was such an obvious cinephile. There are so many references to other movies in The Evil Dead. In particular, there's a beautiful reference in the mirror sequence to Cocteau's Orphée.
The homemade quality of the first film makes it worse. Like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that low-budget feel of both of those films makes them much scarier, because it almost seems like, in some senses, it feels like you're just dropping in on the action.
Originally, they wanted to film Evil Dead on Super 8, but following a disastrous test to blow up Super 8 to 35mm, which frankly looked crap, they decided they had no option but to film on 16mm. However, this ended up working in their favour, as the 16mm film gave Evil Dead its unique, grainy, edgy moodiness and a real punk attitude that was perhaps lost in Evil Dead 2 and 3, which ended up being filmed on the bigger budget, more glossy 35mm format. So how do the films still manage to freak us out and send shivers down our spines? Well, Sam was always a real pioneer when it came to camera work. He always compared filmmaking with being a magician. If the audience never knows you're performing a trick, creating an illusion, then you've succeeded. The whole point is not just to make a film, but to amaze yourself and those around you.
The thing about The Evil Dead was you had this in-your-face feel about it, and a lot of it was down to Sam's camera work, I think, to the fact you had this camera zipping about.
It was with a weird camera on a big bit of wood or something, I think.
Those famous shots where the camera, or spirit's point of view, is hurtling through the forest